To celebrate VE Day, I'm going to read a war story called The Lion and the Unicorn by Shirley Hughes. London's burning, London's burning, fetch the engines, fire, 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 pour on water, pour on water. Every evening, soon after dark, the warning sirens wailed. Then came the awful droning of enemy aircraft overhead, and fire bombs and explosives whined and whistled out of the sky. Lenny Levi and his mum huddled together under the stairs. Lenny clutched the badge that his dad had given him before he went away. It was made of solid brass, a lion and a unicorn up on their hind legs, fighting each other. Lenny kept it in his pocket, always where he could feel it. Dad was fighting too. He was in the army far away, while Lenny and Mum clung to one another and longed for daylight. A unicorn was a mythical beast, Dad had told him, a mysterious, gentle creature, but lions were real, all right. Lions stood for being brave. Everybody had to be brave in wartime, not only soldiers, but other people too, children even. Be a brave boy, Lenny, Dad had told him when they said goodbye. Sometimes they got letters from Dad. They came in batches, 2 or 3 at a time. Those were the best days. Mum read bits out to Lenny while he was having his tea. Dad always put in a drawing for him. Sometimes it was a funny picture, like the one of Sergeant. Once he did a beautiful picture of a unicorn with flowers around his neck. One night, the bangs shook the house so badly that they thought the roof would fall in. We should have gone to the shelter, muttered Mum. Next morning, when they went out, the Robinsons' house wasn't there anymore. Their things were lying all over the street amongst the rubble and broken glass. The neighbours said that the Robinsons had gone to the best centre in the night, wearing blankets. That's it, said Mum. We've got to get you out of here, Lenny. Soon, suitcase packed and his name on a label pinned to his jacket, clutching his precious badge in his pocket, Lenny joined a crowd of other children at the railway station. Mum was there to see him off. Lenny felt the shape of the lion with his fingertips. He knew he was supposed to be brave, but when he saw so many strange faces, he didn't know how to be. It'll be a lovely place in the country, Mum told him. Flowers and rabbits and that, but she was nearly crying. Lenny only realised what was really happening when he was in a crowded railway carriage. He put his head out of the window and shouted, "Don't leave, Mum! You come with me!" But the train had already started to move, very slowly at first, then fast gaining speed. "I'll come to see you soon," called Mum. "Be a good boy." She was a white face amongst all the others. She shouted something else, but Lenny couldn't hear her. Then she was a tiny figure at the end of the platform, waving and waving. It was so dark when at last Lenny arrived that he could not see the place. The windows were blacked out. Then all at once he was in a huge hall, so big that it seemed that a whole house in London could have fitted into it easily. There were no rabbits that Lenny could see, just some tired grown-ups bustling about and 2 girls bigger than him who were called Joyce and Patsy, with a little one called Winnie. They were evacuees. Lenny was one too. A lady wearing a great many scarves and woolly cardigans said, "I am Lady Devas. You must be very tired. Nanny will give you your supper and show you where you are going to sleep." "We specially asked for girls," Nanny complained, eyeing Lenny. "I'm afraid it's too late now, Nanny," said Lady Devas. "And he is not a very big boy," she added kindly. The evacuees were to sleep in the big attic room with dark beams overhead. It was chilly and no electric light or carpets, but there was a nice woody smell. A curtain hung down the middle. Joyce, Patsy and Winnie were together on one side and Lenny was alone on the other. Nanny left a couple of little lamps burning when she said goodnight. Lenny got down under the blankets. He lay awake for a long time watching the shadows moving in the high roof. He could hear the girls whispering behind the curtain. Then Winnie began to cry. Lenny felt numb. The only thing that seemed real at the moment was the brass badge that Dad had given him underneath his pillow. He went to sleep clutching it. Lenny woke very early while the girls were still asleep. He could hear far away stirring noises in the house and faint echoing footsteps, but no one came. He got out of bed, pattered over to the window and pulled the blackout curtain aside. His mouth fell open. He looked out over a jumble of roofs and chimneys, not the squat, blackened kind like they had in London, but a fairground of barley sugar shapes with grinning gargoyle water spouts winking in the sun. Beyond that, still wrapped in haze, were gardens, hothouses, meadows with great spreading trees, and a humped-up hill rising behind like a cut-out paper shape. So this was the country. He had never seen anything like it. The great house which Lenny had come to was very old. It had countless rooms. Lady Devasse, who owned the place, lived in one part, Nanny in another. The army of servants who had once looked after the house and garden had now shrunk down to Mrs. B, who cooked, Nellie, who helped with the cleaning and washing up, and an old gardener called Bill Penny. The evacuees had their breakfast in a kitchen as big as a synagogue Lenny went to at home. It was warm in there, but Lenny was shy and miserable. Nellie smiled at him. There was porridge with plenty of milk and thick slices of bread and marge. But Mrs. B was cross when Lenny would not eat the bacon she gave him. "There's good food wasted. I'll not have that," she scolded. "We don't eat bacon in our family," said Lenny in a low voice. Everyone stopped eating and stared at him. Joyce's eyes were as round and as hard as marbles. Even Winnie stopped grizzling. Lenny felt his ears turning pink, but he was stubborn. He thought of Mum and Dad, and he still wouldn't eat the bacon. In the end, Mrs. B gave in and told the children to take their dirty plates into the scullery and get out from under her feet. Right, so Mrs. Thomas is going to take over and read the next part of the story for you.